Welcome to More Patience, More Impact, More Income, the podcast for real holistic medical practitioners who want to grow their high-impact, high-income practice without selling out. And now, here's your host, Chris Axelrad.
What's up, everybody? On the way to my office at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday. Talk about something that this concept just popped into my head. Amplified growth momentum. Amplified and simplified. Interesting how those are two words that have very similar sound and the same root. To amplify and to simplify. That's not a coincidence, actually. And one of the things that I'm seeing in my War Room program is people come in and, whenever I talk to them initially to see if they're a good fit, invariably, most of the people I talk to, and this is not uncommon, and I'm not saying that I'm not guilty of this. Guilty. I don't want to use the word guilty because it's not a crime, y'all. It's not a crime to overcomplicate your shit. It's not a crime to be lost. It's not a crime to be overwhelmed. It's not a crime to not know what to do and instead do way too much to try to compensate. But at the end of the day, everything boils down to very simple, tried and true principles. You look around you in nature. I mean, you look around at the trees, you look around at the mountains and the valleys and all the beautiful things that nature has for us, the oceans. And we think that shit is complex. We're the ones that overanalyze all that stuff. But at the end of the day, left alone and just, left to do its thing, everything in nature is just really fucking simple. And the process of generating all of these different realities, all these different things, is just really for nature is just a very simple, cyclical, ritualistic process. Just doing the same fucking thing over and over. And just letting things evolve in a very natural and relaxed way. If you want to look at, really to me, if you want to understand how nature does things, that's pretty much it. Just keep doing the same shit over and over. Once you find something that works, and then just chill out and just let it evolve. Let it grow. Let go of the results, and just let things gain their own life and their own momentum. The problem is that most people are not patient enough to allow that to happen. And what they do is they plant a few seeds and they see some of those seeds beginning to sprout, but it doesn't quite look like they expected. It doesn't quite look like they wanted it to. They wanted it to look a certain way. They wanted it to be, a plant with a flower, or they wanted it to be a tree. And it turned out that it wasn't. And so what do? They fucking kill it. They pull it up. And they don't give it a chance to actually evolve and grow into the beautiful thing that it is destined to become. That is what we do when we continually short-circuit ourselves and we don't just show up every day and plant the seeds and let things evolve and allow nature, which, by the way, the source power within nature, that root power within nature is so intelligent and so wise and so it's just so perfect. It just knows exactly what to do. And when we don't allow it to do its work, we end up going in circles and getting in our own way and beating ourselves up. And then we wonder why we're constantly struggling and we're just not getting where we want to go. And we think it's, the world, that there's something working against us. We kind of want to feel sorry for ourselves and see ourselves as victims. But at the end of the day, it really just boils down to the fact that we have all of this immense power encapsulated and embodied within ourselves. And we have all this immense power and potential all around us everywhere. If you just walk outside right now and just breathe and look around. Look at the trees. Well, depending on where you are, of course, here in Houston, we have a lot of trees. We have a lot of plant life. You just walk outside, you just look around, and you just like, wow. I mean, look at all this life. Look at all this power. Look at all this beauty that is everywhere. Why am I sitting here feeling sorry for myself and thinking that somehow it doesn't apply to me, thinking that somehow I'm the exception, and that while all this beauty and all of this life is going on around me, that somehow I'm not a part of it. Somehow it's just, it's not something that I can leverage. It's right here for you. Like right now, this very instant, you have so much potential and so much power to draw upon. And it just really is like, when we talk about amplified growth momentum, what we're talking about is this concept that nature knows how to grow things very, very effectively. And when we start to, and you know what, our medicine talks about this. Our medicine talks about that healing is mostly a process of getting the fuck out of the way, right? Because we talk about the chi is blocked, and it's funny because I remember when I was briefly attempting my doctoral, which I just finally dropped out because I couldn't, with my clinic as busy as it was and me not having as much help as I do now, it was just killing me to try to do that doctoral. So, and it was actually starting to affect my clinic and my business. So I had to back out. But I remember being in a clinical rounds class, and somebody was trying to say that pain sometimes isn't chi stagnation. And I'm like, if you read the classics, basically what they say is every kind of disease is always chi stagnation. It's always that the chi can't move where it wants to go. And so sometimes, yes, the chi is not able to move because it's deficient. Sometimes we're tired. Sometimes we just don't have the energy to make it happen. And if that's the case, it's because we're not nourishing ourselves. And one of the ways that we nourish ourselves as practitioners and healers and doctors and whatever the hell you want to call yourself, one of the ways that we nourish ourselves is to stay motivated, and is to do the work to feed our minds with things that are going to expand our potential. To not sit around passively waiting for inspiration to dawn upon us, but to go seek inspiration and feed ourselves with that inspiration. That is a huge, huge thing that amplifies your growth. Another thing that amplifies your growth is, again, like, we got to have the actual energy, right? But then we also have to get the hell out of our own way. We've got to stop hovering over every fucking thing and trying to make everything perfect and trying to make everything exactly right and make everything so that not one person could possibly get offended or upset or whatever. You see all these like I saw a post on acupuncturists on Facebook. I go in there from time to time just to see what's going on. And this person's like, I just got my, they got their Doctor of Oriental Medicine, their DOM, right? And they were really happy about it. But then, like, all of a sudden they're telling someone about it, and this person's like, Oriental is a derogatory term. And I'm like, I see that post and I'm like, this is exactly what the fucking problem is. People don't focus. Look, first of all, the person was kind of upset that had been said, and they started to question, like, why is it that we call our degree Doctor of Oriental Medicine? And it's like, don't focus on that shit. Focus on helping people. What are you going to do to get more patients? What are you going to do to help more people? Like, if you start thinking about all these side issues, and someone's always going to get pissed and offended. That's the bottom line.
If you're ready to fill your practice and keep it full without the stress and overwhelm, then get instant access to your free Autopilot Patient Attraction Playbook. Now at www.highimpactpracticesystems.com/autopilot.
And then there's always going to be people who say, oh, this is okay. And there's going to be people who say, oh, it's not okay. Okay, fine. Well, in the meantime, what are we fucking doing? Like, what are we going to do? Are we going to start to focus on our purpose? Are we going to start to actually just stay focused and like, because what'll happen is a lot of people will, that'll happen. And then they'll spend like months thinking about it and talking about it, debating it, and all this energy and time to, that just diverts that nourishment away from what? Away from their work, their purpose, their mission. And so really it just boils down to this. Think about how a seed grows. You put it in the ground, you just give it a little water, and then you go away. Like, you don't sit there and watch it, and you don't have to tell it what to fucking do either. It just knows what to do, right? And then you come back, you check on it, it looks pretty good, give it a little more water, walk away, right? Let it grow. And allow it to grow. Allow yourself to grow. Allow yourself to grow. Stop judging yourself. Stop being so hard on yourself. And just be yourself, right? Because, like I was saying earlier, what a lot of people do is they plant the seeds and they look at what's coming out, and then it doesn't, and then they get judgmental about it, and they get opinionated about what they're doing. Like, they're afraid somebody else is not going to like it, or maybe there's a part of them that is judging it and being harsh about it. And then they just kill it. They kill their own growth. And so if there's anything that I want to point out, it's that you have got to be kind to yourself. Be merciful with yourself. Let that shit go. Create some space within yourself. Stop trying to cling so tightly to what your idea of life and success and right and wrong and all these other things are. At the end of the day, we have one job as practitioners and healers, in my opinion. And that job is what? To help other people grow. And we can't help other people grow. Here's the thing. What is healing? Healing is growth. Healing is things growing together. Healing is things, it is the return to wholeness. And things that are blocked cannot return to wholeness. Things that are tired and can't move because there's not enough energy cannot return to wholeness. Therefore, our whole mission is to help people grow, whether it's just simply helping their shoulder feel better by stimulating the growth of new tissue and stimulating that healing process, which is exactly what our acupuncture does and exactly what any type of manual stimulation therapy does. Or whether it's helping someone to grow in an emotional way because the emotional roots of their chronic illness has emotional roots. Whatever it is, our job is to help people grow. And you can't help people grow if you cannot let yourself grow. Because everything you see out here, the way that you feel about everything that's going on out here is simply a reflection of how you feel about what's going on in here. If something out there pisses you off, the reason that thing pisses you off is because it's something inside of you that you have not accepted about yourself. And look at that, examine it, and create space, expand, and exhale, and allow yourself the space to grow. That means love yourself, forgive yourself, be kind to yourself, and just understand, man, it's hard out here. It is not fucking easy being out here, right? Nobody's going to hand your success to you. Nobody is going to do you any favors, okay? I mean, if they do, it's a bonus. It's a bonus. and be grateful for it, but don't expect it. Don't expect it. Always start from the premise that you have the power. You have the power to generate your own growth. And yes, there's going to be pressure. How you respond to that pressure, that tells you everything you need to know about whether or not you are going to ever be able to generate amplified growth momentum. Because when you respond to pressure by constricting and tightening, guess what that does? It chokes the life out of your growth process. When you respond to pressure by exhaling, relaxing, and opening up and saying, okay, I see that I've got an opportunity here for some growth. That's when you're going to amplify. That's when you're going to amplify. So at the end of the day, it's the core principle of what I teach in War Room is this: love yourself more. Love yourself more. Start there. Start there. Yes, there are techniques. There are strategies. There are steps. There's things we can do. The way that we advertise, the way that we market, the way that we show up in clinic, the way that we talk to our patients, the way we make videos, the way we, live our lives, which, by the way, one of the things that I'm huge on is that we cannot live our lives out of sync with how we live our purpose. They have to be one and the same. We must unify ourselves in our lives and in our work. We can't show up as one person in our work and another person in the rest of our life. Not going to happen. That's another aspect of amplified growth momentum, is really getting clear on who you are and being that person all the fucking time, everywhere, including in your clinic, including when you're out with friends, including when you're home with your loved ones. But the key is all those tactics, all those strategies, every ad, every whatever, it's just not going to have the force and the power if you're beating the shit out of yourself all the time. And you really aren't being kind to yourself, and you're not being loving and caring towards yourself. It's just not. It's not. It's always going to be stunted growth momentum. Why? Because you're planting seeds all the time with everything you do. And some of those seeds are going to not look so great when they start to grow. This is just natural. This is nature. We're talking about nature, right? Nature does not discriminate. We discriminate. And when we start to see things going on and we're like, damn, that wasn't what I was hoping for. Well, what are you going to do then? Are you going to uproot that? Are you going to stomp on it? Are you going to kill that? Or are you going to continue to watch it and continue to be present and adjust? Because that's going to be a huge differentiator for you between whether you keep growing or not. The ability to stay calm in the midst of the natural chaos that is life. Life is naturally chaotic. There's rhythm, there's order, and there's chaos. And to reject the chaos and cling to the order, or to embrace the chaos and reject the order, either way, you're going to screw yourself. You've got to maintain your calm and stay within the scope of your own path. That's the order. And you've got to be able to handle when things don't go well and when things don't go as expected, and make those adjustments. That's the chaos. You can't have one or the other. And I'll tell you what, man, there's people who live their whole fucking lives fighting tooth and nail to have order in everything. And all they do is choke off the spirit. All they do is choke off the spirit of healing, choke off what I call the healing intelligence, which, by the way, doesn't just operate in the body. It operates in our businesses. It operates in our lives. So, the more that you're reflecting and tuned into that healing intelligence within your own life and within your own mind, the more that healing intelligence is going to seep into and infuse your business and your practice and yourself and who you are. So don't discount that. Make sure that you're always taking care and nourishing your mind and your heart first. Let all the tactics and the strategies come after that. So that's all I got for you. Talk to y'all later.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.